All right, guys, live with Ezra Levine. I just asked him the appropriate title: co-founder, president, CEO, owner extraordinaire. Is that correct? Of Collectable?
I actually went with co-founder and CEO, and
That's
I
right.
made I made the wisecrack that when you're in a startup, it's CEO and it's janitor. I mean, you wear every single hat there is possible. But now we've got an amazing team over at Collectable. But I have the privilege of wearing the CEO hat for now.
Nice. I call that the janitor position for this Jesse. So
Exactly.
Jesse, the janitor position. No, happy to have you on. So we're going to drop this on our YouTube channel. Yeah, Ezra Levine, exactly. So we have some comments. If we get questions in the comment chat, I may just toss them on the screen for you to take a look at. But Ezra, Collectable for the fractional market. You want to just break that down real quick? I know some of the guys, especially in this group, are new to the hobby in general. Kind of break down what the fractional market is, if you would.
Yeah, you got it. So fractional ownership really is a concept which a lot of people are familiar with as it relates to public stocks, right? When you buy shares of Facebook, I'll use that as an example. You're buying fractional interest. You're buying fractional shares of a public company. We really took that same concept and we applied it to the world of high-end sports collectibles. The opportunity we saw was that there are unbelievable items in sports, of course, but the price points kept getting higher and higher, and that kept pricing people out of the market. We saw a real opportunity to sort of create fractional interest and fractional opportunities for people to really be able to invest and own iconic blue chip sports collectibles in a very similar process of buying shares like Facebook on the public markets.
So I've been critical of this space in general on the podcast, especially because I feel like the valuations is really going to be the death of the majority of these companies. That doesn't seem to be the case with you guys in Collectable. You and Dan, of course, I've talked to before. Can you just kind of give me an idea how you work the value? Because honestly, that is the only reason I would talk to you guys. I have no interest in talking to anybody else about fractional. I see these valuations. It's cute that things snap fill, but I know the result of this. The secondary market, when these things open up, people are going to get murdered. But I like on Collectable how you guys have valued things and the fact that you're selling things like you are. How do you go about getting the value? How does that process work for you and the team?
Yeah. Look, our job is really to try as best we possibly can to bring these items to the market fairly. We have experts on hand, both who are part of Collectable and other experts we work with directly who helps sort of set the price points of these items, right? I mean, we look at everything. We look at data and comparables, how the market is trending, growth rates of certain players, sort of our view in terms of where the auction market's heading or the private market's heading. I mean, I think this is an area where I think being category focused gives us a real advantage, right? So for people who don't necessarily know some of the other players in the fractional space, Collectable, our company, does only sports, right? We only do sports, and because
Right,
of
like
that,
Rally does everything. Some of these other companies, like a Rally.
correct, right? So we're exclusively sports. So really, what that does is it allows us to go really deep into the market to develop really amazing relationships and knowledge bases. And we also have a lot of data from our previous version of Collectable as well. So we like to think that we do as good of a job in the industry as anyone in terms of pricing these things. That's not to say we're perfect, but we do the very best job we can to bring these items to the market as fairly as we possibly can for both buyers and consigners of items to the platform. We're also, we also curate everything that gets on the platform in the first place, right? We're not looking for just anything, right? We're looking for things that we think are blue chip, right, or things that have a high degree of cultural and historical relevance, things that we believe over time have appreciation potential, and again, just really blue chip stuff that people could not really afford unless this concept of fractionalization existed.
Yeah, so I saw like this week the Wilt Chamberlain. That was what his game used. A jersey, game used outfit. What was the?
Yeah, it just a record
piece.
setting. Oh my God! But here's a cool thing: an actual record-breaking piece, right? We set the all-time sports fractionalization memorabilia record. This was a $1.275 million IPO. The previous record was in the 800,000s, right? So we shattered that record. And we sold $1.275 million of this jersey to over 1,000 investors, and it funded in about 1 hour's time. The item itself was just a ridiculous piece. It was Chamberlain's rookie home full uniform, right? So for a little perspective, and I'm still amazed every time I hear stats from Chamberlain's rookie year, it is actually mind blowing. The guy averaged. He averaged 37 points and 27 averaged as a rookie. He won the NBA MVP as a rookie. He won the Rookie of the Year. He broke 8 NBA records. Right. So this is the jersey that he wore for all of his home games during that season, both the top and the bottom.
For the whole season too, right? It wasn't like now where you switch jerseys every day.
He wore this for every single one of his home games during his rookie season. It's a photo match jersey, or a lot of collectors look for, that degree of sort of provenance. When something's photo match, it means that you can literally you can match it up to a photograph taken. So it was photo matched to these images that were produced by Getty, where literally he scored over 50 points at MSG, and he's walking off the court in this uniform. Everyone's clapping for him. Just an incredible piece. That's just sort of a prime example of blue chip supply that we can bring to the market in a very differentiated way than other collectibles transact, right? If not for companies like Collectable, this jersey would have sold to a wealthy collector in New York or LA, and one person would have owned it, and probably would have sat in someone's closet for years. Now, over 1,000 people are the proud owners of this, this unbelievable item through Collectable.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So I know at the beginning you guys were doing it, which it made sense to me. You can only buy a very limited amount of shares per item. Is there still the cap on that? How many shares people can buy at the when they get in originally on the IPO?
Yeah, so we pioneered effectively what's called staggered share caps, right? So effectively, It's this tension between, look, we want as many people to be able to participate as we can. There's a lot of demand for our product, luckily, but again, we want to kind of walk that fine line between getting as many people on the platform as we possibly can, while also giving people enough skin in the game where it's meaningful for them. So usually what we do is for the first 15 minutes of an offering, you can buy usually a small amount, a couple $100 worth. Then after the first 15 minutes, if there is shares left, you can buy more. And then after the first hour, you can buy as much as remains.
So I know a couple items too, like the Bird PSA 10. That was a couple months ago. You guys just sold that outright, correct? After it filled the IPO, and then you guys just got a buyout offer. So what would you say is a percentage? Because somebody had asked me this the other day. They've seen some headlines of just, hey, these guys have sold some major pieces and the returns. What would you say, I mean, just roughly, percentage-wise, of the items that you have that you've gotten offers on and actually sold?
So we've done, I believe, 94 IPOs since September. Right? So 94 IPOs. I believe, if my math is correct, I think we've done probably 13 or 14 buyout offers of those 94 items. Of those 13 or 14 offers, I believe 5 of them have actually been accepted by shareholders.
Yeah, so that's something I kind of like. You guys, so is it a majority of the shareholders? Is that a basic?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Correct.
Now, when items get sent to you as well, this was another thing. I know this is different on certain platforms. I'm not sure how you guys do it. You guys have an item. It goes 100% to market in the IPO, or the owners hold a share back, or is it an option? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a consignor option, effectively, right? So we pioneered this concept of retained ownership. Really, what that meant was, if you backtrack, about a year ago, the only way for collectible items to sell was you sell all of it or you sell none of it, right? There was no concept of being able to sell partial equity in something. If you think about it in the public markets, you could buy Facebook stock, right? Say you have 100 shares of Facebook, you bought that at 50, right? So you bought it well. Now, maybe Facebook trades up to 200 and you're saying, look, I want to take some chips off the table, but man, I think Facebook's going to 1,000 over time, right? In the public markets, you have the ability to sell 10 shares at 200, another 10 shares at 300, however you want to do it. In the world of collectibles, before our company, you would have to, really say to yourself, I want to sell all of it, or I don't want to sell any of it. So we created this concept of retained ownership, which allows people to sell, a partial position in these items via Collectable. So we have consignors, who sell, half of their interest in something. We have people, who keep 75% of it. We have people who keep 5%. So it's completely the option of the consignors. And, the goal, and, what I think we've accomplished in doing this is just creating liquidity and creating flexibility for the collectible category in a way that's never, that had never taken place before.
So what do you guys have coming up? Anything big? I'm sure you have something big on the upcoming docket. What's coming up for sale?
Got some great stuff coming up. One item which we're continuously excited about is we have a 1916 Babe Ruth rookie card in a PSA 7. We're going to actually bring that to the market. Yeah, it's a ridiculous card. Another 7 was actually recently up at Heritage Auction with a $4 million plus estimate. The The guy had a reserve of $3 million on it, which meant that unless it had a bid of $3 million, which would transact with the buyer's premium of $3.6 million, that item's not going to get sold. So it didn't hit that $3 million reserve. As a result of that, we lowered the IPO price of our Ruth card. We'll be taking that to the public coming up probably in the next month or so at $2.98 million.
Is that the biggest value IPO?
That will be the biggest value IPO that we've done. Correct. The other previous one, the Chamberlain was a big one, obviously in the memorabilia category. Before that, we broke the fractional record for a card, which was a $2.5 million Mickey Mantle 1953 Topps PSA 10. So we sold that as our first offering back in September. That took about 10 days to fill as our first offering, and I believe that's now trading around $3 million on the secondary market.
So yeah, I'm interested in the secondary market too. You guys had that whole thing set up where it's literally just like a bad example of it, but like a Robinhood type. Once you're on the app, you own shares, you basically can just day trade right there on the app, correct?
Yeah, again, so yeah, we were the first fractional company to introduce this continuous trading model as well. So pretty much, yeah, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, in what we call power hour, right, from 3 o'clock to 4 p.m. Eastern. It's just sort of a live intraday continuous market, right? So shares fluctuate instantaneously. You could put in bids and offers and hopefully get executions instantaneously. So really, if you project out a couple months, once sort of a little bit more depth of user base develops, it'll be the stock market for sports collectibles from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Just standard Eastern Standard Time stock market hours. You'll be able to trade shares of Jordan and Mantle the same way you can trade shares of Penn Gaming or Facebook or Amazon on the public markets.
That's pretty wild, actually. Sheesh. Okay, so here's the one. Here is my two drawbacks. One, I haven't got involved yet because I hate having just a small piece. Once you guys open that, it doesn't make sense for you to do that right now. But once it's like, hey, come in and buy 30% of an item, I think that'd be cool. I just think me and Jesse are like, hey, we want to jump in and get. So that's the one reason I've held back. I am curious though, from the IPO to the time it hits your market, how long is the hold before you can start trading the item?
Yeah, it's generally between 45 and 90 days. I would say on average, it's about 2 months at the moment. And to address your point about wanting, sort of more skin in the game than we allow, on the secondary market, you can buy up as much as you want, right? So there are no limits in terms of how many shares you're able to buy up once the item is actually taken public.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's cool. So that is the one downside for me, the 45-day. Why is that? I'm sure there's reasons. I'm not smart enough in this side of things by any means to understand it. What's the reason for and you're not the only one who does this. I think Rally does the same thing. It's like a 2 to 3 month hold. Why the hold period?
Yeah, the whole period really is for operational reasons, right? So there's sort of a whole back office to this operation. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're selling securities, right? And so there's a whole trade settlement part of this where all the trades have to settle and the money has to be transferred. And then we have to transfer all these shares over to be eligible for the secondary market to a different broker. It's a whole sort of back office thing. Once we feel comfortable and confident that we can get this done even sooner, I would not be surprised if that gets reduced even further. Again, our job and our goal is to make these things as liquid as we possibly can, and to make that and that can come in two forms, right? I mean, that can come in the form of getting liquidity through the secondary market, or it can come in the form of getting liquidity through these buyout offers, right? I think we've done a good job of kind of getting opportunities for people to potentially sell their items through these opportunities on the buyout offers, right? You can get a buyout offer at any time, regardless of where you are in the lockup period. We had an example recently where we had a Wilt Chamberlain 1961 rookie card. We literally IPO'd
PSA 9, right? Or 8?
PSA 9. We literally IPO'd it, and like literally 24 hours later, we got a buyout offer, and that thing sold. Prior to the shares actually settling, it was sold, right? So those buyout offers can come at any point. So the sort of conception that liquidity only comes in the form of secondary market. There's two ways to really get liquidity. One is through these buyout offers. The other is through secondary market trading, and the buyout offers can come at any time.
Okay. Yeah, that was my next question, actually. So there's no limit. I remember that Chamberlain. I didn't realize that it sold the next day. That's insane. What was the return on that one, just out of curiosity, for the shareholders?
70%, give or take. I might be a little off on my numbers there, but it was a really attractive return in a short amount of time.
If you're starting with 70%, you're only a little bit off. I think you're fine. Jeez. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. Event worn, sports cards nonsense, autographed by Jesse. I
Big
don't know how
numbers in
you,
that one.
yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to put Wilt to shame. I don't know how you value that. I mean,
Well, I mean,
close.
we could actually chop it up, create our own, sort of brand of sports cards. It's like
I'm
an
in.
RPA, right? It's like, it's your game worn rookie jersey from your first year in sports card nonsense. I love it.
I'm not going to say no to it. So, because what are we talking about? $1 million Wilt Chamberlains. Now we're talking about cotton T-shirts. We like to cover all our bases here, Ezra. So we did a question from one of the Facebook guys here too. What are you most excited about for the future of the platform?
A lot. I mean, we've got a lot of amazing stuff planned. I mean, look, our job right now, we're really focused on kind of building out the overall marketplace overall, right? I think we've done a great job of getting amazing items on the platform, right? We have tons of inventory. I mean, think hundreds of millions of dollars of unbelievably iconic blue chip supply, and we have a really engaged, active audience of people who seem to love our product. What I think we really need to do a better job on, we're really working hard on that, is sort of educating people and providing data and news flow and analytics to really just give people the knowledge and the education around what moves the market, right? Why are things moving, why are things up and down, sort of giving people the resources to make informed actions on the platform. So I think you'll see a lot more from us, sort of on providing these catalysts, on educating people, on analytics and news flow analysis of various types. So we're excited about that. Got some other surprises down the road for you guys as well. But again, our job really is to just continue to provide best in class blue chip opportunities for people of all income brackets all across the country and soon all across the world. And we're just incredibly excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I mean, it's a perfect time in the market. And even with the dip we've seen, like, I mean, I know you're in the hobby anyways. I mean, obviously there's been a dip in some of the, more
Mhm.
modern and kind of reasonably priced stuff. But
Yep.
I mean, at what point does a Wilt Chamberlain, game use like untouchable item like that drop, or a PSA 9 Chamberlain, or a PSA 10 Bird? Like those are just, to me, I just think it's a perfect, and I just think it's
Yep.
a great combination of guys. Like there's so many guys coming to the hobby now with the mentality of the day trader. Like, hey, I want to get in fractionally. I don't want to have to worry about buying and selling on eBay or doing that, because it is a hassle and it's a grind on the other side of things. So I do think it's a cool. I think it's a cool space. Like I said, I largely hate it just because I just can't stand the values I see. We get blown up all the time on the show. Like, hey, did you see this? This item just got offered. It's like, this is insane. So that's been the one reason. Like I told Dan privately, I told you off air too.
Mhm.
I think that's what's going to make you guys. I mean, I think you're already doing probably the top spot in the for the collectible side of it, anyways. But I just think if you keep the values there, guys are going to keep making money and coming back.
Well, thanks. I mean, look, we tried the best we can. It's not, believe me, it's not an easy job pricing some of these, really high end collectibles. Oftentimes, there's just no comps or
Sure.
very few comps. And again, it's been a really fast moving marketplace, as you know really well, right? So a price that you might agree to or purchase something at, and we don't purchase items at Collectible, but I know other fractional companies do purchase items. You could purchase something at an auction 2 weeks ago, and that may have looked like a great price, but the market changes really quickly. So it's a difficult thing. We have the benefit of consigning everything, right? We don't have to purchase it. We're not taking our own inventory risk. And again, our job really is, as best we possibly can, to just bring these to the market at really fair prices for buyers and for sellers. And then, from that point on, to just let market forces do its thing, right? It's a completely supply and demand driven secondary market. And that's really what we're hoping to see over the long term.
Yeah. I'd be curious too to know. I mean, I have no way to get a number on it, but like the analytics of guys in the hobby who who have more of an understanding of fractional than me, and then B, who are involved. I just think I do. I just feel like this is the one space where it's just going to keep growing. I mean, because I don't think it's just guys sitting around with cards in the basement, or even guys like me who are super big into the hobby. I do think it's got a wide appeal outside of just the hobby. So, yeah, I think it's cool to see what's going to keep happening with you guys. So,
Well, look, with that, I would say, I think fractional it's become increasingly more important. Right.
yeah,
I mean, as prices continue going up, it just prices out even, we talked to a lot of people, even big collectors. I mean, really, affluent collectors are saying prices are starting to get to the point where I really can't afford to take down these things myself. Right. But I would love to take down a good chunk of it fractionally. And, so instead of having to drop $1 million, now I can drop 200 grand, but I can take that other $800,000 or $500,000 and allocate that across 4 or 5 other positions. It just creates, it's sort of like the natural evolution and maturation of the market, in sort of making these things more liquid, more affordable, more dynamic, more consumer friendly. So I think I agree. I mean, I think fractionalization is absolutely here to stay. I think this is just going to get better and better and bigger and bigger. And again, I just think it's become such a necessary part of the hobby, where people are just so priced out that this sort of has to come to replace that. Otherwise, I think you're just getting so high in such a stratosphere that there's no buying support at those elevated prices anymore.
Yeah. And even me, like, I have confidence in the market, but I'm a big believer in diversity. Like, yeah, I've got a big collection. It's worth quite a bit of money, but it's like, there are certain items I could buy that Brady Contenders rookie, or I could go buy an investment property again. I don't know. Right. So as much as I have confidence, I'm like, I just don't, at some point you got to look at it and be like, man,
the money. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm just I'm a little bit more conservative with my cash than I think other people are. I mean, some guys I know are just totally in the hobby every dime they have. I just can't get there. So I like that for that reason. One thing, and I'm hoping to God, just a teaser, I hope your answer is no. No, I can't imagine you guys are getting involved in like the NFT space on the collectible. Oh, God. Don't do it. We'll cut the interview right now.
I'll say this. I mean, we're laser focused on what we do best. I mean, we're obviously watching and observing NFTs like anything else. I mean, I think it's been incredible to watch. Just
I knock it every chance I get, by the way.
On top. Yeah, I mean, look, what I do think it's done, I think that's sort of inarguable, is that it's brought a lot of awareness and attention to collectibles in a way that we never had before. I always talk about, if we rewind, 7-8 months, right? I mean, this industry, collectibles, had a reputation of being a sleepy, fragmented, sort of third stepsister to fantasy sports and sports gambling. Now through companies like Collectable, through fractionalization, through NFTs, through great content providers like you guys, right, and The Ringer and other big outlets coming to the space, and a lot of celebrity and influencer and athlete adoption. Like through all these things, collectibles as a category have really been propelled into that third-headed monster category, right? This is now being looked at as a third-headed monster to fantasy sports and sports gambling. You can get instantaneous exposure to athletes and players and moments in ways that you could never do before, right? So I just think overall for the category, a new innovation, new technology, new ways of doing it, new types of people coming in. It's just good for the industry overall, and I think it's building a pretty powerful foundation for us to continue to expand upon in the years ahead.
Yeah, and now it's an asset class, right? It used to be guys in a jersey just like hanging out and, going to the card show when they were the nerdy guys in high school like me. Now it's like, part of my portfolio is, a piece of a Jordan, a fractional piece of a Jordan I bought. So, I just think it plays hand in hand. So, hey, I appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, we get a lot of questions about it. I have somewhat of an understanding just from talking to you guys, but I just thought, hey, this is one of the few. Well, that's not true. This is really the only one I kind of want to have on and actually describe it because I like what you guys are doing. So, I appreciate the time, Ezra.
Thanks, man.
Hey, where can guys, and just to plug where they can find you, how does this, any socials, any, whatever, plug the app, plug anything you want.
You got it. So we are app only if you want to actually transact at the moment, right? So we're eligible for iOS and Android, the Collectable app, right? So if you search there, you'll be able to find it. Our social media, we're all over the place on social at Collectable app.
You got to spell Collectable, by the way.
Collectibles is with an A, not so. This is very important, right? So COLLECTABLE, ABLE, not IBLA. And our website is www.collectable.com.
Nice. Good deal. Yeah, I've seen you on Twitter. We'll make sure we'll drop this on our socials as well and post it on our YouTube and all that. And we'll see if we can't get you on the big pod here and kind of pump it up on there as well. So appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks, Gia. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy. See ya.